Okay, this here, what you're looking at, this is a 7/8 scale reproduction of a P-51 Mustang, which was a World War II fighter. I'm currently, well, I probably got about a week and a half left. Once it's done, I'll post it. It's a pretty good size airplane. The wheels retract. They go up inside. You know, you see the way that it is now. But what my point of this is, it takes imagination to envision. We repainted this whole thing. It didn't look like this. The original guy died, and his son didn't care, so it just kind of sat. So it's the imagination that is putting this thing back together. When I'm done, it'll look like it's supposed to, and it'll fly. That's if I can handle the fucking thing. Anyway, otherwise my videos will be short-lived. This is not a small airplane. It's pretty good size. Kind of scary when you stand next to it, because I'm about 5'7", and my head comes up to just at the bottom of the canopy, the glass. So it's big. But getting back to the imagination thing. When I make videos, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. A lot of memories from kids, a lot of reading. There's a natural ability to piece things together. It doesn't mean I'm right. But there's a thread going through here, and once you understand that thread, it's very easy to work off of. My point is when you guys look at this stuff, it's okay to use your imagination to try and bring things together. You know, sometimes people will laugh and say, oh, that's so stupid or whatever. Some guy's saying, oh, you're chasing ghosts. I'm not chasing any ghosts. This is the reality here. See, the only time they say that is when you are getting somewhere. And so, you know, nothing should really be counted out. It's just some of us are more focused in our thinking. You know, just like this plane sits here, you know, if that's completely repainted, that's all fresh paint. I can envision what it looks like in the end. Just like I can envision what's going on with the videos I keep showing you in the news, and who's behind all of that, and you know, why is it that I can see it, you know, forming into a story, behind a story. I don't know. But don't get discouraged when these people tell you you're nuts or you're goofy or they try and beat you down. Right now, you know, the philosophy of it is that you're not going to beat whatever this thing is. Whether if it's just, even if this reality is just a concept, you're never going to outsmart it. You're not going to outthink it. It's not possible. But you have to use your imagination. It's okay to work off people's other work, like mine or somebody else's, but you have to put your own stuff into it. You can't just regurgitate somebody's shit. It's okay to work off of it and use it as a reference point. I do it all the time. You know, I use Fox as a reference point because they're the idiots. It's the easiest thing in the world. They're just feeding me the info and I'm just putting it together. You know, it's just like an encouragement video for you too. Don't be afraid or think that you're not smart enough. There's only one story. It's just been told a billion different ways. So we're all going to come to the same conclusion at some point. You know, I don't know about all of this. You know, look, here's what I've gathered. There's a thing called a spark, and somehow when these guys go into their heads, this spark, that's where you get this S, this like the serpent, this S in this spark somehow explodes and creates an imaginary world. I don't know how it works. I have no idea. It's Kabbalistic. I don't fuck around with that shit because I think this reality's rough enough to deal with. I don't need to create another one. Plus, I did enough acid in the military to, you know, probably put any Kabbalist to shame. You know, it didn't hurt any. But the bottom line is, you know, these guys, go into yourself, go into yourself. What the fuck do I want to go into myself for? Because you know what? No matter how far I go into myself, I still got to come out here and croak. And my third dimensional skin is going to take a beating from whatever it is that I walk into, whether it be for a job application, climbing trees, age. We're all going to die. You know, isn't it funny? They all tell you, meditate, blah, blah, but they never tell you when you do all of that stuff, what's the end result at the end of your life? I can pretty much tell you. Here, I'll tell you a story. Kid comes to the door, and he's trying to sell magazine subscriptions to get tuition for college. But I hate that shit anyway. So I told him, I said, well, you know what's more valuable than tuition? Intuition. I said, you know what intuition is? I said, intuition is when you know something's going to happen before it happens. I said, you know what's going to happen now? And the kid just looked at me and said, no, and I closed the door. See, there's your intuition. If he had intuition, he would have known I was going to close the door and he would just already turn around and walked. You know, so all of this bullshit in your head, this meditation, fuck, you can do a couple hits of ass and bypass all of that bullshit. You know, McCleary talking about, go into yourself and it's scary and all of that. Well, then why the fuck would I want to go? It's scary enough out here. What the fuck would I want to go there for? To find myself? To find myself. It doesn't matter to me if the person that's walking around on the outside is an idiot, because I already know he is. That's me. I raise my hand. Just like everybody else on YouTube is an idiot. None of us got it right, but we're trying. We're trying, and it's okay to use any reference that you can, whether it's a book, your imagination, if you're working off of somebody, but you got to do your own thing. If you want to do the Saturn thing, that's fine. We know that that's the thread that runs through this whole thing. I'm not sure how it works, but it is. That's what it is. And even if we find out in the end that that was all a big joke and we were wrong, so what? They played it well. But I don't think that's the case. So, like this airplane, grab an idea and work it. Find something and work the angle. You know, look at the news stories. You know, try and trace down why they're doing this. Form a hypothesis in your head. You know, because all of it, everybody's input is important. Nobody is a stupid goyim, as you've heard from other people. You know why people say that type of stuff? Because they're coming from a higher place of consciousness. You know that phrase in the Bible where it says, if somebody strikes you, turn the other cheek? That's not a literal translation of if somebody punches you, you're just supposed to walk away. What that means is if you're trying to explain this type of stuff and somebody doesn't understand it and they get mad, you're not to retaliate against them and call them a dumb fucking goyim. It means turn the other cheek and try and explain it to them again. If somebody jacks you in the jaw, you got every right to beat the fuck out of them. But when you're dealing with this type of stuff, it's very, very hard to get people to open their eyes and understand that the world that you've been living in is just a big three-ring circus. And we all know who the Lord of the Rings is, so you get it. You know, I mean, it is what it is. So don't be afraid to make videos. Don't be afraid to throw things out there. And don't worry about the rejection. Because ain't none of us got it all right. But at least we're trying. So, you know, put that goyim crap away. You cannot lord over somebody because they can't understand what you're saying. If they come at you with stupidity, well, then you got a right to blast them. But otherwise, it's patience is the deal. And believe me, I know I've lost my patience many times, but in reality, you know, you just kind of... People asking stupid questions is fine. It's the ones that come forward with the stupid ideas like they're right without doing any research. And so I've got a small group of people, and they always like to say, oh, you're cult members. How am I a cult? I'm exposing the Babylonian cult, which has created all our religions, all our money systems, all our laws, especially on this side of the world. They're Druidic. Okay, so that hardly makes me a cult. It just makes me somebody that people like to come to look at stuff to get my opinion. I'm not a teacher. I'm a researcher. And so are you. And so research and do the best you can, and don't let anybody put you down. And maybe in 2 weeks you'll see me flying this thing. Maybe.